Drawing. How do we improve our drawings? The age-old question. I think a better question is, what is the best way to practice, to internalize our drawing experience? The answer to that question everyone should know. Draw more and draw as much as you can, but that sort of poses another question. How do we enjoy drawing? How do we make it fun? How do we make it new and exciting? I like making videos about my drawing sessions, new ways to just get a couple hours of drawing in. Today we're doing 4 different drawings ranging from 20 to like 90 minutes. It's gonna be a great time. Let's begin. Drawing, it's pretty awesome. I love to draw. I go in between painting and drawing, and when I paint a lot in a month or two, I then like to switch to some drawing. As you know, drawing's the backbone of all sort of fine arts, classic, traditional fine arts. I've done a bunch of drawing videos where I practice and I come up with different interesting ways, just to exercise. It's hard to just be disciplined and just practice and draw and drill. I'm, not very disciplined, even though people think drawing and painting comes so easy. It takes a lot of effort to sit down and practice, That's why I started the figure drawing sessions here in the studio. I host them. That's like a great environment and exercise to just draw for 3 hours, to not care about what you draw, just to pump out drawings, 15 minutes, 10 minutes, and it's great, and I love that. You can't always get live models, obviously, to draw. There's different online tools. You could use photo reference. I like to do portraiture a lot, but there's a lot of things that you should be practicing within drawing. So we're gonna do a bunch of drawings today of random things, and we're gonna be using a really unbelievable tool, justsketch.me, Just Sketch Me. It's an amazing tool to sort of frame out anything. Poses, figures, objects, you can control the lighting. We're gonna talk about it all, but let's set up the drawing area real quick. So I love drawing on these drawing horses now. It's just the best position for me. That's something I've found that is important to sort of the success or just even enjoying a drawing session, is being comfortable, and just through trial and error. In the academic world, people like to stand. Some people draw just vertical on a table, but for long drawings and drawings in general, I like this sort of setup. And these are just some warm-ups, just some beautiful 5-minute, maybe 8-minute sketches to seriously just warm my brain, observing, and my wrist and my hand and my whole body. So just use this Proco skull for some warm-ups. I think warming up drawing is really important. I've said it before, I'll say it all the time. I always need to warm up. And we're going to be using Just Sketch Me, this super powerful application, for the rest of the drawings. So it's really cool. I think this app is so fun, Just Sketch Me. I'm always looking for reference. I generally like to do portraiture. I like to do figurative stuff. The application has way more than that, but obviously I stuck to some of the more figurative stuff. Mannequin drawing is super awesome. There's a lot of fundamentals in drawing mannequins and sort of, getting big shapes like rib cages or the pelvis and then thigh bones. It's almost like the next step after gesture drawing, which I also don't do enough, but this was really fun, sort of looking at the pose I made with the lighting, and then sort of going off on my own and just trying to figure out big shapes of the big features, like a forearm or the bicep, the chest and the leg and the calf. So things like that. This was a great exercise, and I also thought that this was just such a dope pose. It was a very heroic Mr. Standing. I don't know. It was just fun, and another good 25-minute sketch. We're gonna go into this application, Just Sketch Me. It's pretty amazing. It's basically a modeling software with all these assets, with all these capabilities. You have all these characters inputted into the program, male, female, different styles of characters. You even have fantasy characters, dragons, mermaids, skeletons, and then you're able to articulate these characters in this environment. Move them all around. All of these 3D modeled assets can be articulated. And then you also have the power of changing and articulating the light, which is my favorite part. Lighting is so important. Us as artists, we see light hitting a form in space. That's what gives us the ability to see. So having the capability of completely customizing the light is very awesome in this program. Also, just all these other cool assets and objects you can move around, weapons, different environments, vehicles. It's just awesome. And so there's so many things that this application can do for us. For today, we're just going to use it for reference. We're going to use some characters. We're going to draw some different things. But you know, if you want to set up a scene, if you're trying to get reference for a multi-figured composition, or what lighting looks like on a vehicle, or these different weapons, it's good, really accurate and customizable reference. This is the girl version of the Mannequin. I wanted to do another one, you know, in pairs, male, female. This Mannequin was a little different, but again, I just chose a wacky pose, a more dynamic pose, some action-y shot that's a little more challenging, because that's another huge thing in terms of practicing and thinking about improvements. Like, you really have to do the things that are hard. I could be happy doing portraits of poses I pick out that are really easy with really easy lighting, or quote unquote what I'm comfortable with, and make nice looking drawings, but that's not going to help me in the long road. And that was actually one of my biggest downfalls in the beginning, was painting or drawing things that I thought I did well, you know, things that was my forte, and I did big paintings and they turned out great, but I didn't like push myself to learn. And so now I'm trying to always just do the things I don't like doing. I have this big painting coming up that I'm doing a painting of a hand, and hands are the worst. I like literally never learned to draw hands properly. Like, I can copy one from looking at it, but all of that anatomy and things I seriously need to work on. And these drawings aren't anatomy, you know, these mannequins. This is almost like more warm-up, 20-25 minute sketches to just have fun, get the brain juicing. But I just loved this as an exercise using Just Sketch Me. Again, the dynamic lighting, the pose, it was just pretty fun. And this is me sort of messing around on the app, and I want to do something with a sword. Obviously, I love swords. There's like a million different props. And again, you could go to the link in the description to try out Just Sketch Me for free. It's for free, so it's really awesome. Definitely check that out in the description. And this was like a more anatomically correct, still not perfect anatomy, but this honcho man holding this sword. I was happy with this, but the pose wasn't great. I mean, the pose is a little weird with the sword. It's a little unnatural. But in terms of like the drawing and the anatomy, and again, this is a very quick sketch. I'm like bouncing from sketch to sketch. I'm not worrying about anything. Obviously, I'm trying my hardest and focusing, but I'm not doing much erasing at all. I'm really just focusing on completing drawings and observing and, you know, getting that muscle memory down. It's all just about XP, familiarity and exposure. I'm sharpening this pencil here. This was actually for all the first drawings. I didn't end up using this pencil in the longer drawing, which is a skull, or a skeleton, excuse me. Probably the coolest asset on the app is this beautiful rendered skeleton. Super detailed, super intricate. And I've actually never done a skeleton. I might have done a rib cage separately. I've done a bunch of skulls because I love skulls, but never a full sort of skeleton. And so I was eager to give it a shot. And then I started and I was like, oh, this isn't very fun because of all these darn ribs. And like, details are fun. And you know, details in paintings are fun. Details in long drawings are fun. But this drawing session, this agenda is just to do a bunch of sketches pretty quickly, you know. And this was sort of a more finicky, detail-y drawing that doesn't necessarily help me improve, because details is sort of like a puzzle that you could be very methodical and slow. I'm more looking for the big themes of improvement of, you know, anatomy, perspective, my shapes, my lighting structure, even just techniques with the pencil. You know, I'm using that smudging brush to kind of smudge charcoal away to get some of the white of the paper out, because I'm going to shade this drawing more than the others. Just things like that. But I was like, all right, let's just go for it. Let's try to get some detail. Let's try to get a mediumly complete skeleton in. And as you'll see, as I move forward, the ribs are pretty horrible. It's not anatomically correct. There's not enough ribs. I wasn't even counting. I was sort of just trying to make it look like a skeleton. if that makes sense, and it definitely does. There's some cool stylized light. You know, I'm getting dark here with some of these pencils, and I go back with that shading brush and get more dark, but it's all just sort of like practice and fun. And this is more of a practice of this technique, you know, of getting value, of getting correct value, and so that's sort of the agenda here. I don't know how else to explain it. I'm using two different pencils. One's like a little softer than the other, softer as in it could get darker. One's a little harder graphite, so it can't get as dark, and it's also just fun to switch things up. So this sort of technique of smudging things away, and as I smudge, I'm adding value to the background. It's getting darker, but I'm also kind of rubbing away the marks I already did. So it's almost like this weird layered technique with a fine pointed pencil. I don't know. But then obviously the creme de la creme is erasing the parts, and that's why I added that value, so that this erasing white paper will pop. And it looks pretty nice. This drawing isn't super long at all. I mean, I think this was 90 minutes. And I was like super frustrated, but again, sticking through it is another massive important thing with drawings, like the ugly painting stage, or if you don't think a drawing's going well, like you kind of have to see it through the end. And if it's a bad drawing at the end or unsuccessful, then so be it. But you know, you got to put in that effort. I'm glad I did this because I was really about to go back on Just Sketch Me and pick a different sort of character to draw. But that's it. Really hope you enjoyed this drawing video. I certainly did. Leave questions or comments about your practice, and I'll see you in the next video.